Okay, we're now recording. So hi everyone. If you're watching this on replay or live, doesn't matter. If you're watching this at all, it means that you're a brave soul. Because Hecate takes you deep into the underworld. She will rewild you and help you see things that you can't unsee. Right, Brandy? We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
So
feel it already.
she's the guiding light. Like, she's not going to leave you in the underworld without a torch. Even if it feels uncomfortable, she's lighting the way for you. So she's really not to be feared whatsoever. So we're going to talk to your cerebral mind much later. Not much later. We're keeping this to an hour, 45 minutes actually. So we're going to start with the meditation. And before we jump into that, I just want to say we're going to keep it down to an hour from now on. So if you want to talk about how your week was previous with Sekhmet, please write it on the Facebook page. Like, use the Facebook page or email us, like respond to the group emails and tell us your experience with Sekhmet. Like, we still want to know. I just think we should use the social media platform or the email to reflect on Sekhmet. I will do the same. Brandy, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna report. I will report how my Sekhmet week goes. Mom, I hope you do the same. Because we did a little dance with anger. Thank you. Little dance with anger, like maybe more than once this week. So, and maybe she burned away some stuff for you. I've been talking to other people in this group, and I know that there was some transmutation going on, and it doesn't always feel nice.
Nope.
So please put that in Facebook or the email. Report back to us, reflect. It's always great to reflect. And yeah, Brandy, I'm going to mute myself and my mother, and you lead us, guide us on the path to Hecate.
Sounds good. All right. So I'm going to have you go somewhere in your home, obviously where you are right now, where you won't be disturbed, and to shut off any devices that may intrude upon your awareness. I did put in the group to light several candles spaced around the room, and also to light incense of musk or another one if you don't have that one. And then wrap yourself in your meditation shawl. Lay down on the floor or the bed if that's more comfortable. Place a pillow under your head and cover yourself with a light blanket. If you need to, you can put a bolster under your knees if you have low back issues. And then we'll have your arms just on or by your sides, slightly away from your body, palms up. And then I'm going to have you close your eyes and very gently allow them to focus up toward your third eye. And begin long, deep breathing through your nose only. Bring your awareness to your breath, focusing on each inhale and exhale. Allowing your breath to become slower, deeper, pushing yourself down into yourself with each breath. Feeling your body get heavier with each breath, sinking down into Mother Earth beneath you. Allow the breath to bring you into your own inner consciousness, that place of your deepest wishes, desires, dreams, and fears. In your mind's eye, you look up and find yourself on a road lined with dark, knowing trees. You are confused as to how and why you are here. The trees whisper that you are to go forward. The path has already been made ready for you. You slowly begin to walk forward, mindful of the mists around you. One step follows another. You look to where this road will take you and see that up ahead, this road crosses another. Where the roads cross, the mists part, and you see a beautiful woman dressed in white, with her arms open, beckoning you to come closer. Your steps come a little faster, and as you get closer, the woman transforms into an older woman, dressed in red and pregnant with creativity. She continues to invite you forward. As you get closer, she once again transforms, this time into an older woman dressed in black. She reaches out and you take her hand. From where you stand, all is shrouded in fog. You look at her and she smiles gently. She gestures downward, and you see that she is accompanied by her hound companions, each with 3 heads. As you look at her closely, she is both kindly and serious. You are here for a reason. Her arm indicates the road to your left, and as you look, the mists part and you are able to see into the distant and not so distant past. She tells you to take time to linger amongst your memories, and you do so now. When you are done, you turn to look into her wise old eyes, and she instructs you to now honor those memories, the good, the bad, the embarrassing, and the painful. Now release them into the past where they belong. No longer will you allow them to influence your life. She once again gestures, and the path to the past is once again shrouded in mist, and the one in front of you opens. She explains that your past is done, and the present is now. Take time to observe what is currently going on in your life, what is going well, and what you would change. And once again, you look into her knowing eyes. She is aware of all that you are feeling. One last time, she waves her hand. The path to the present closes, and the last path opens. Without being told, you know that this is the path to your future, what may be and can be. With some trepidation, you observe this path that is now open before you. Let your intuition be guided by your wants, needs, and desires. You look at her, realizing that this wise woman is the goddess Hecate, guardian of the crossroads, and you bow your head to honor her. She reaches out, lightly taking your chin in her hand, and brings your head up to look deeply into her eyes. Her message is clear. Let go of the past. Live as best you can in the present and focus on bringing your dreams to fruition in the future. Live your life the way you know is right and best for you. Claim your sovereignty. You thank her profusely, and with a blessing, she releases you. You find yourself returned to your body. Bring your awareness to the here and now, taking several deep inhales and releasing them. Stretch your arms up, slightly stretching your body to fully awaken. Open your eyes and gently bring yourself to a sitting position. Inhale, bringing your hands to the surface in front of you, grounding your energy, and exhale. And we'll just wait for everybody to come and join again. Do you want to unmute yourself?
There. Thanks, Brandy.
Welcome. How did that feel?
Oh, wonderful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it felt it felt like I was right there, like, you know, I saw her so well, you know, like I don't usually when I'm visualizing something, I don't usually see it that like that, but this time I did.
Very cool.
I saw her. Yeah, I saw her changing. I saw the, you know, the past. You know, it was pretty eye-opening. Yeah. So I don't know how I'm supposed to decipher that, or, you know, I guess not, to just,
like she said,
yeah.
you know, the past is in the past, and
Yeah.
we just, you know, look at the present and move to the future. And I think too that as things come along, like the meaning behind or the message behind it will present itself when
Right.
you are, you know, when you're ready or you need it or that kind of thing.
Sometimes when she was telling you to be in the future, and what do you see, I had trouble sort of thinking about what, like, not thinking, but putting it into words. Like I sort of thought, okay,
Yeah.
I know what I want in my future, like regarding business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all I could think of. I thought, okay, you know, it takes me a little longer to think about it.
Can I jump in and say something to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so think about like what she showed me on the future path. Oh, Maddie's coming in, random.
Oh.
What I was thinking on the future path. Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
Just gonna mute you for a second, and then feel free to unmute yourself if you want to jump in. What I was thinking on the path to the future is like her torch, like she's got a torch on these three paths, and it's like how far into the future, like you can see the past because the torch has like led it all the way up to the past. And then it's like when you go on the future, I could only see as far as her torch would let me, which was sort of the immediate future. Like it was sort of like my present was blending into the future. And you can't see too far. And I think what's beautiful about not being able to see too far is what she told me in the meditation was, we have to do this trust step, you know, like, because Brandy focused a lot on like stepping towards her. And it was like, her torch only lights you so far and you have to trust the rest of the way. So there's this massive, like, one foot in front of the other, like trust with her. And that's the thing about Hecate, is you're going into the unknown. And we, you know, the pandemic has really taught us that idea of nobody knows, you know, like we've had to surrender for the past 2 months into not knowing. And so I feel like Hecate has been here for 2 months at least, you know, because as a collective, we're in the underworld.
Yeah.
And when we resurface, it's going to look different, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I get it. Yeah. I loved being there. You know, if it doesn't get clear in the meditation, does that mean that I just need to allow Hecate to bring it into me, or what? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, you could do some more. I really thought of the tarot when Brandy was doing that. Like, you could go away from this call and pull a tarot for the past, a tarot for the present, and a tarot for the future. Like, we do this all the time with 3-card spreads. But I think inviting Hecate in as like channeling Hecate and then asking the cards, you know, as like a message from Hecate. Like, what would Hecate tell me was in my past? What, like, give me a card to represent my past, give me a card to represent my future, and give me a card to represent my current situation. And
like the past was clear.
Yeah,
you know?
because you've been there.
You've been there. The present was okay. It's the future that's kind of.
And that's where the big trust comes in. Like, we're not meant to, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, our future is based on our decisions too, as we go, you know, like one step, and we decide this and we decide that. So it's kind of like those books. I don't know. My brother had one when he was small, and you could read like a chapter and it said, "Okay, if you want this to happen, go to this."
Yeah. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, go to this page.
Choose your own adventure. So amazing. That is life.
So that's kind of what I like. What comes to mind for me is like, you know, what do we choose as we move? What do we choose in our present that's going to affect our future? And that's probably why we can't really see that far ahead, because we just don't know.
And I think this is where we need to focus on emotions. So you can't see what's going to happen or what opportunities are going to come in or what new people are going to offer you new opportunities. Like, you can't see any of that, but you can see how you want to feel. So if every step you take is on joy, then Hecate's going to show you every crossroad that represents joy and not joy. And you get to choose which path you're on. If you're in a relationship right now that isn't bringing you joy, and this is how Alana Fairchild experienced Hecate, is she was in a relationship with someone she deeply, deeply loved, but it wasn't working. And how do you let go of someone you deeply, deeply love just because it isn't working? But she got to this crossroads of like where she had to choose herself over the partnership. And so she's, you know, Alana Fairchild now. So like, hello. But but it's like, even if you make that commitment to you of like, I choose me in every step I take.
But if you choose, you know, like, that kind of worries me too, that what Alana Fairchild says about relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm thinking is, yeah, you can really love that person and you can still be you.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to say bye-bye.
No, I think this was like toxic. Like, she was hanging on because she loved him, but it was actually toxic. Like, it was eating her from the inside out. It wasn't like, you got some stuff you have to work on. It was like,
yeah.
not good for her. Like, everyone could see it wasn't good for her, but she kept hanging on, hoping he would change.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that's not a good reason to stay. So
yeah, exactly.
It just took her like a really long time to leave, and eventually, because that, like, it's what it sounded like to me, was she was trying to fit the relationship in her ideal relationship, and it was like she chose the partner who, like, his face, you know, the face of that partner to fit into that idealized relationship, rather than just choosing, you know, going with, I want this type of relationship, what, regardless of what his face looks like, you know?
I think that what we do is we want to change that partner, right? We want to change that partner, and then it
depends where you're at, but
and we say it's not working.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep with, like, I believe the way she described it, this was actually toxic. It wasn't just this guy's got some things that annoy you. It was like toxic.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, not healthy.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry, been there.
Difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
Cool.
so I'm just gonna jump in. I'm just gonna jump into Hecate, because we have.
Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Of either one of you, is it okay to re-listen to that on the replay?
Of course.
Yeah.
Over and
Okay.
over.
Okay.
And you know what I can do, Mom, if you like? I'll send everyone just the audio as well as the video, and then with the audio, you can just listen to it on your phone wherever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to have the video up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll send you links to both the audio and the video.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so as you found out, Hecate is the guardian of the crossroads in which the right way is not known. So there you go, Mom.
Okay.
Brenda brought in her three-headed dogs. She's often depicted as having this guardian of the underworld as a three-headed dog, who is related to Cerberus in Egyptian mythology. Mom, I'm just gonna mute you because there's background noise, but feel free to unmute yourself if you want to say something. So Cerberus is the three-headed dog in Egyptian mythology, and Hecate is also depicted with 6 arms, very reminiscent of Kali as well. So Hecate's statues have 3 heads. So there's her head, and then there's 2 heads looking out to the side. What those 2 other heads represented were actually Artemis is considered her light side. So not Persephone, because she's in the Persephone myth, but she's actually considered the light aspect of Artemis, who we're going to go into much more depth later in this course. So Artemis represents the new moon. Demeter, or her Roman name was Selene. So Selene was representative of the full moon. So that was your red-dressed pregnant woman in the meditation. So that's, yeah, Demeter or Selene is her Roman name. And then Hecate is the dark moon. And Sappho, who was this brilliant, brilliant poet, where the Christian priests tried to burn every word she ever wrote. So what does that tell you about the feminine and the power of our words? They had a public burning of Sappho's poetry. And luckily, mummies were wrapped in her poetry. And so we have been able to recover some of it. But one of the things we recovered is that Sappho refers to Hecate as the queen of the night. So I want to say that jasmine oil, which is also called queen of the night, jasmine oil is a Hecate oil. It's funny that I completely missed Brandy's text about what oil we were bringing in today, and I brought in release just because. And so Brandy had us release the whole past in the meditation, which I didn't know she was going to do. So that was kind of funny that I was feeling really called to release oil today. So if you have some release oil, you can use it before the meditation, as well as jasmine. And yeah, so like I said, Hecate is aspected as Artemis, or identified as Artemis in her dark aspect. Brandy, I'm going to keep it a secret, the big mind-blowing experience I had with Artemis this week, until we actually do Artemis. So I'm going to keep that like locked away, but it's really cool. So all of those moons are the totality of who we are. It's our cyclical nature. It's the 3 levels of consciousness as well. So the 3 heads, 3 moons, cycles, the subconscious mind is the underworld. We can't see it. We don't know our limiting beliefs running in the background. So that is Hecate. Hecate rules those blind spots for you where you're like, why can't I make enough money? Why am I always hitting this level? Why can I never manifest the right relationship? You know, all of those things are often caught up in limiting beliefs. So I feel like Yoga Nidra is a very Hecate-led exercise, because you are going in the world between dreaming and waking. So you're going in that underworld with a conscious mind to reprogram those beliefs. So there's 1,000 Yoga Nidras on YouTube and stuff like that. I teach it if you really want one. Said from me, I can record myself doing one. Ooh, maybe I'll do a Hecate one. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it. So the moons are, like I said, your totality, your minds. So conscious mind is, I would say, I'm trying to remember what they were. Subconscious, Hecate. Conscious, I believe, is Demeter, and then super conscious would be Artemis. Yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, as you know about crone age, we have the idea of the bag lady. These women are often ignored in society. Why? Because when you hit menopause, you are no longer belonging to the womb of the world. You are your own. And so menopause scares people. These are no longer childbearing women who have a purpose. Anyway, that's my so in the Iron Age, they separated the dark aspect. So if you're wondering why many of you are not here right now, it's because they've separated the dark aspect and convinced you to fear it. Okay, the dark aspect is nothing to be feared. The dark aspect is winter. Remember, Persephone spends 6 months of her year in the underground. And if you're not familiar with the Greek myth, I'll just fill you in real quick. Persephone got kidnapped by Hades, brought to the underworld, forced to marry him. There's some rape in there. It's really the worst. Demeter was grieving, and that's why we have no growth in winter, is because that was Demeter's grief. She was like the harvest goddess, and she just took away all the sun and all the growth, and because she was longing for her daughter. So there's a lot of grief in that myth. And then on the 10th day, she meets Hecate, sorry. So Demeter meets Hecate on the 10th day. 10 in the tarot is completion. Okay? 1 is new beginnings. So 1 + 0 is 1, new beginnings. So there's this ending, new beginning type thing. And when she meets Hecate, she becomes aware of what happened to her daughter. Long story short, there's a bunch of stuff in between there, but she becomes aware of what happened to Persephone, and she makes a deal with Hades, basically. And it wasn't Hecate making all this stuff happen. Hecate just recommended the right guy, which I believe was Helios. Like she told Demeter to go to Helios and ask him what the heck happened, and he's the god of the sun. So he was going to shed light on all these things that were happening to Persephone. And so I feel like Hecate will show up at the end of a cycle for you. She'll show up simultaneously at the beginning of a cycle, because the end of a cycle for you is always the beginning of another one. I do kind of love that Maddie has a giant Kraft peanut butter in the screen. Kind of hilarious. Sure. Yeah. So we all know the rest. Like then there was a deal struck, and Persephone got to spend 6 months of the year, with her mother, in the sunlight, whatever. So this is why we have spring and summer. Hello, this is the cycle we're in right now. And we're at the end of an era. We're into Age of Aquarius. We're done with Age of Pisces. Hecate is present, you guys, whether you want to see her or not.
I find it interesting too, because today it just moves out.
Oh.
Right? So a beginning for her and kind of an ending for the family dynamics here at home. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just fitting.
Yeah, it is. Really. And on a spiritual sense, like absolutely, Brandy, you're feeling it personally 100%. And then on a spiritual sense, many people are feeling this. It's that awakening. Hecate shows up in your awakening. It's that journey that women used to get institutionalized for, where true story, like in the book Goddess of Every Woman, they talk about the Persephones as being institutionalized because they journey to the underworld and then they see things.
Yeah.
And people think they're crazy, which is lunatic, lunar, influenced by the moon. And so so this is that. Now it's a little more acceptable. We're not going to be institutionalized for talking to Hecate or seeing things, but people are awakening, and lots of people around you are awakening that weren't before. And so now they're in this state. I was in a coaching call yesterday where the one was saying that she works with people who all of a sudden have awakened and realize that their friend circle doesn't connect with them anymore. So their friend circle doesn't connect with them anymore, and their family looks different to them. It's like they can't fit in anymore. They're in that limbo, but they haven't found their new tribe, like what we're doing here, where everyone is kind of like-minded but has opened their eyes, their third eye. And so this one coach works with people in that limbo state of, I see everything differently now and I can't unsee it. And now I'm losing friendships because I'm different and I'm seeing things differently. I also think Hecate can be that light in the dark if you're having some supernatural stuff go on. entities, that kind of thing. And lucky for Brandy, we're going into level 3, which is 8 weeks in the underworld. So, so level 3 is such a big deal. And so when you start to become aware of this other dimension, and things start falling away from you, call on Hecate as your guide. And I'll just tell you a little personal story about Hecate. Is she came into my life really strongly, and this is why I have the utmost respect for her now. Is she came into my life when Ryan's 25-year-old sister died, and she was pregnant, and the family was keeping it a secret. And so she was coming to us because her family was telling her to abort this baby, and she was coming to us saying she didn't want to abort this baby. And we were kind of giving her resources of support that she could have outside of the family unit. And then she ended up having a seizure and hit her head really hard and lived alone and died. And that was a really hard time for us because it was so unexpected. And then at the same time, so we literally went to that funeral. Ryan had to carry her casket. It was on the solstice. Her funeral was on winter solstice. So talk about Hecate time, right? Like the shortest day was her funeral. Like 4 days before Christmas. And then right after Christmas, Josh, who is Ryan's brother, who had been living with us for 5 years, announced that he was just moving out, and he was moving out January 1st. And that sent me into this really deep spiral of grief, almost that kind of grief where you can't move, And I stayed in bed a lot, and it was really brutal. And then Hecate came to me, like she started speaking to me. And I just laid into her torchlight because I didn't know how to get out of that. And that is why she led me back into the light, for sure. And I think she led my whole family back into the light. And I was able to communicate on a mediumship level with Ryan's sister. And there was a lot of peace. Like she kept showering me with peace. And I think it was Hecate that opened the veil for me to have those conversations with Ryan's sister and feel at peace with where she was at. So that's kind of my personal experience with Hecate. Like she showed up in one of my absolute darkest hours, and she can do that for you too. So this isn't about, I don't know what people think of Hecate, but it's not about evil or darkness in that sense. It's about really opening your eyes to something you're not seeing, or the blind spot, or the guiding you out of the dark night of the soul, and that we're different on the other side of those dark nights. So that is Hecate in a nutshell. So I love, go back to Brandy's meditation. I will record, it will not be this weekend, I'm very busy, but I will record a Nidra or write a Nidra next week. I will write that down, and I'm kind of excited for like an underworld Nidra. I've never done one of those. And then good old Alana Fairchild has a card for her out of the Crystal Mandala Oracle that I absolutely adore. And so that's why we've brought out our mica or our lepidolite. So this is a raw form. Brandy and my mom have not raw forms. Yeah, it looks purple. Beautiful. I love this stone. I don't know what it is about it. But this is the picture of the card. And if you notice, it looks like these kind of have flames, and that's representative of the 3 torches that Hecate has, which is why you were asked to light candles. So you had your own torch. I actually legitimately have a Hecate candle I've lit. It's black. It's awesome. And you can get those at Divine Mind. So the crossroad of destiny, let me just bring it up here. So we bring you the empowerment of the crossroad of destiny. You are at a pivotal point on your life journey. This may be obvious to you with a potentially life-changing decision before you, or you may not realize the impact that an apparently insignificant choice is going to have on your future. Either way, you're at a point where you can leave the past behind, thank you, Brandy, and chart your course for a new adventurous chapter to begin in your life. This is not something you need to be frightened of. It is a sign you're progressing on your path. The crossroad of destiny happens when you have mastered a cycle in your life and a new cycle is before you. It is an opportunity that you can take best advantage of by listening to your heart. Okay? So remember, part of the reading in this is familiarity doesn't bring security. So if you're stuck in your comfort zone this week, try getting out of it, because familiarity doesn't bring security. If you lost your job recently, you know all about that. So I'm just gonna do the little healing process here. If you wanna like sit with your spine straight, just take a couple more deep breaths, close your eyes and come into the heart. And let all that awareness come back down into the heart space. And if you have to put your hands there to feel it, go for it. And I'll just say this invocation for you, knowing that it's coming through on the collective level for this group. I call upon the crystal angel of Micah and goddess Hecate, who love me unconditionally. Thank you for the divine healing empowerment of the crossroad of destiny. May I transition through all life choice points based on the loving wisdom of my heart into the most joyful expression of my divine destiny. May I trust myself and know that when I'm feeling inspired and uplifted, there's a good and true reason for it. Through divine grace and my own free will, so be it. So stay there. I want you to just breathe that in for a couple breaths. Keep your hands on your heart. And then if you want to say this out loud, if you're watching the replay, or I can mute you, Brandy, so you don't feel weird. No one can hear you right now. You can just repeat after me. I choose of my own free will. Through this and any lifetime. Through all layers of my being. To release any experience and associated belief system based on fear of hearing and acting on my heart guidance. I trust in the divine plan for me as it shows itself in the crossroad of destiny in my life. Through divine empowerment and unconditional love, so be it. And then bring your hands in through prayer at the heart center, and then bow your head. May divine love bring recognition of the wisdom of the heart into collective human awareness. May any fear of respecting and honoring the heart wisdom be released through divine merciful healing. According to divine grace, unconditional love, and in service to the divine feminine wisdom evolving through humanity at this time, so be it. And then we'll say this affirmation 3 times. My flawless heart guides me through the crossroad of destiny into shining new life. My flawless heart guides me through the crossroad of destiny into shining new life. Last time, my flawless heart guides me through the crossroad of destiny into shining new life. Rubbing your hands together, creating some heat in the palms. And when your hands are hot, place them wherever you feel you need them, whether it's back on the heart, back of the neck, maybe over your eyes, whatever feels good. And so that is where we're at. We're gonna sit with our hearts in Hecate for the rest of the week. Maddie, thanks for popping on. And I just said at the beginning for us to review Sekhmet on the social media page, like on the Goddess Mythology page, or reply to a group email on how your Sekhmet week went. And that's kind of how we're going to do it from now on, is just people can reflect on social media and the email, and then we'll just jump into the new goddess each week. And
Cool.
yeah. So how are you guys feeling? Heart-centered? Are you feeling like that is your torch?
Yep.
I feel good.
Okay.
It's so funny how much that message has been coming up the last like couple days too. And I jumped on the call and I was like, oh, here we go.
Yes. Well, it's good to see your beautiful radiant energy on here. Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, sorry, I was like driving and then making food and anyways.
But you showed up. Like, you're not afraid of the underworld.
Yeah, I showed up and then I was like, where is everybody?
This is the interesting thing about Hecate, right? Like, they'll hopefully watch the replay and then they'll realize they have nothing to fear. And I realize, like, if you're watching the replay and you're saying to me, but Sam, I didn't come on because I wasn't afraid, or I was afraid. It's because I slept in. It's because I had this thing going on. It's because I had that going on. I was in the middle of a yoga practice. All of those things are actually forms of resistance, you know? I was going to say,
level that you're not consciously aware of.
Remember, we're dealing with the unconscious. So unconsciously, there's a fear of Hecate and the underworld. Consciously saying, I had to talk to this person and it was super, who else is going to feed my children? Like, that's how it comes up in the conscious mind. In the subconscious mind, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Oh, thank you all. I have to run and go attune somebody. So
Okay, bye.
Sam, I
so
just wanted to say something.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting that May 1st is an awakening, like with Hecate. And it's interesting that now they're starting to open up different places, starting to open up the world again, which is kind of interesting that it would start to happen on May 1st.
Yeah, that is. Thank you for pointing that out. Very interesting.
Very true.
We're in a new cycle now, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Very cool. Okay, thank you so much, you guys. I'm sending you so much.
Wonderful week.
Yes, mad love to those of you watching this in the future. There is no time and space. So, all right.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.